am about to start my writing for the day. So I'm on draft 2 of my fantasy novel, and I'm currently working chapter by chapter. I've already done the basic edits for my first read through and mostly changed misspelled words and punctuation errors and a lot of just basic things that were wrong with the manuscript. And I also went through and wrote a million comments about areas that I needed to expand, because this first draft was only about 45,000 words, so very small. It was the bare bones of the story and a lot of description saying add this name here, describe this here, refer to your Pinterest board for these pictures. So I'm actually doing something kind of different. I didn't get a chance to film it the last time I did this, but I'm currently on chapter 1. I have a lot of the dialogue and main points, but I'm really missing a lot of sensory and descriptive things. Like my characters are talking, but you have no idea what they're doing or where they are in the room. So I was kind of struggling with that, so something I kind of went through and did. I don't know if I can show you. I'll put a picture on the screen because I think it's on my cell phone and my camera is attached to my cell phone. I kind of went through and made little tiny phone-sized collages of the first chapter of kind of a lot of mood, so colors and mood, and I'm a very visual person, so that helped me write a lot once I kind of decided what she was doing in the opening part of the scene, because this is a little rant, I guess, but I watched someone's TikTok video and realized I'm an underwriter. I did not know that. In my head somewhere, because I know so much of the story, I have so many details in my head. In my head, I must be an overwriter and I have too much information, but no, I'm an underwriter. And I have continually had to go back in the story. So that was kind of the point of their video, is they're talking about how if you're an overwriter, you probably started the story too early, or you need to cut a lot to get down to where the story is. But if you're an underwriter, you started the story too late and you're trying to just jump into the main action. And that is definitely how I felt, because I have loved, there's so many exciting scenes in this first book and I just want to write them all. I want to write the romance scenes, I want to write the action scenes, I want to write all the juicy stuff. And then all the other scenes, which are important. It's not just fluff, and I think I was struggling with that. Oh, it's just fluff, you don't really need it, but you do. Because you have to show the character progression and more about the world, and that's definitely stuff I like when I read. And I also need to do a lot more showing and not telling, so all these little scenes will show. I'm in the process of doing that. I'm in the process. I want people to get the vibes, you feel like you're there. So this first scene, I made a whole little collage just so that I could set it next to me while I am writing and kind of be able to describe more sensory things. So one thing that's in this first scene is candlelight, and it's the only thing illuminating the room. Having to describe that, and also the location of where we are, and it's nighttime, and so all these different sensory aspects, I was struggling to do that until I saw a bunch of photos and was oh yeah, that's what I want. Long story short is that I'm going chapter by chapter. That's what I'll be doing the next month, but adding in all these sensory components. So I think I'm going to, per chapter, which will probably take forever, but I think in the long run I'm really going to appreciate this, and it's going to make going from second to third draft very easy. So because I think after I finish the second draft, I'll probably do a read through and make sure I like everything and edit all the basic mistakes. But then I think I'm going to hand it over to my friend who's an editor, have her read some things, and then once she goes through and reads it once, I think then I'm going to send it to beta readers. And then to make sure it really makes sense before I get so far down the line of this. I feel a little crazy because my original story concept is book 2, and now I'm I hope this all works together. So part of me feels I need to almost draft book 2, or very lightly draft book 2. I have some of it written because it was in when I first started writing. It was part of the book. Because I have multiple point of views, I feel I need to separate them and make sure their storylines make sense together, themselves, alone, not all worked in because this first book, it's like, okay, we're switching multiple point of views. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening because everybody's like character arc is, you know, beginning, and they all have their like first catalyst and all these different things. I don't know. Part of me is like, I feel like I need to work on book 2 after I finish book 1, or like while I'm having my beta readers read, because I want to make sure this story is cohesive, I guess. Yeah, so that's something new I've been doing. So now I'm going chapter by chapter. So I already kind of did a lot of chapter 1, but I was kind of like, now I have a rhythm, like I made the thing already. So hopefully this makes more sense. It's my first like page. It's been taking me forever to just get to a place where I even like what's happening. And now I've like changed up the whole thing. So I just like didn't want it to be too cliche, and I felt like it was, even though I thought it wasn't. I don't know, first pages are hard. I'm trying to like help the reader know what this story is kind of gonna be about. I'm talking way too much. I need to drink some coffee, but I'm trying to be more organized to get morning writing done, because I also have a lot of other things I have to do throughout the day, and if I don't sit down and try to write in the morning, I feel like it doesn't really happen. I took quite a bit of a break working on this project. I was away for a little while, and I did work on my book some while I was away, which was really fun. We had a lot of time on trains, planes, and everything, so I did get quite a bit of like reading and editing done. So this is like, I'll have to put in a clip of what this was like. I don't know if I filmed enough for it to be like a full video. I edited most of my manuscript, or the first half of my manuscript, which is what I printed out, on a train in Scotland, and I just like got to look out at like these gorgeous like mountains and all these like farms and animals, and then there was like seaside cliffs, and I got to edit my book and like read it through and like make notes and kind of think about things, and I edited a lot of like grammatical errors on that train. So that's just kind of like a really fun memory of like my first book. I was in Scotland, or heading to Scotland on a train, and I edited, you know, the first like 20 chapters or something, and it's just kind of fun. So I'm kind of happy that I brought it and like did that, because we had a lot of free time. It was like a 4-hour train ride there and back from England. So I don't know, but that's a happy memory. So now I need to just keep going, because this is like a project that I was thinking it would be done this winter, and now I just feel like it's not done. I probably could work way faster on this, but I don't really know what I'm doing with this whole first book. Like, it's all very overwhelming, so I decided not to rush so much. So now my plan is like spring, because then it's like I had been working on it for about a year, because I really seriously started writing in March of 2022. So it's still 2022 right now, but I think it would be good to work on this project for about a year. I feel like that makes sense to me right now, because I was just casually writing a book in the beginning, like, oh, I really want to write this story, and then I was like, no, but I'm gonna finish it. Like, so I was writing like aggressively, and a lot of days of the week, but I did not understand the business of self-publishing. Like, I hadn't decided self-publishing, not self-publishing, and I think I'll make a video about that, because that's a very hard choice, like traditional or indie publishing. And I decided to go the indie publishing route, which just means that you wear every hat, and it's a lot more involved than just writing a book. Not that traditional publishing is not involved as well, but it's like a lot more of a financial investment to publish your own book, but you also have a lot more control. So I have control over every aspect, which has been insane to think about, and a lot of research has gone into it. So I feel like I've spent a lot of time researching how to publish a book and market a book and all the aspects that kind of go along with that, and that took up probably a quarter of my time of like if I was just writing the book. But you have to spend a lot of time querying if you do traditional, so it's not a very fast process for that either. But I'm hoping that my second book will be able to be out like within the year next year, and that would be nice, because then I would have 2 books published in a year, and that would just be so exciting. So hopefully that's how that works out. I'm so impressed with people that I know online who have published within months. of each other, and that means like they did everything. Like they got a new cover, they like so many things. Oh my gosh, it's kind of insane. I need to get to writing. It is now 9 o'clock in the morning. It is 9:10, and I started this video 15 minutes ago, but I just wanted to tell you what I was gonna do. So I have a whole little mood board. It is so good. This is gonna be great to just like have it sit next to me right now, so when I'm writing. Alrighty, we're gonna get to writing because this is taking forever. I'm gonna put my little headphones in. I'm gonna put on my music that's on here, and I'm gonna continue writing. So I think I'm gonna set, I've already written a lot of those scenes, so I think I'm going to set maybe like a 10-minute timer and just try to completely finish this scene, this opening page. Yeah, we're gonna keep going. Stopped filming. I took a break, and so I was like, oh, I'll just update you after my break. But then I started working again and kind of doing some research too. I am really putting a lot of pressure on myself with this first page, this first chapter, because I guess my thought just keeps being, I feel like I'm a perfectionist, so it's my fault, but also, I just know if I'm not slightly intrigued when I start reading by the first page or the first chapter, the odds of people continuing reading my book are not very high. Because I'm very impatient when I start a new book. I really hate beginnings, and I really hate when books are slow in the beginning. Even like very popular books, some of them like I found slow in the beginning. The only thing that like really kept me going, besides like nosiness and like wanting to know what happens next, was knowing like other people said it was a good book and then it gets better, like it picks up the pace. Anyways, I know you can't like usually just be like right in the story, you know, not like second or third books where you're like, oh my god, I have to know what happens next. It's like 11:45 now. I've been working, I think I finished my sprint that I filmed for you at like 9:45, and then I took like maybe like a half an hour break. And then what I did is because I wrote a lot of the first page and I really like where this is going. This is making me really happy. I'm liking it. I'm rereading through it right now and adding a tiny bit more in certain places because This is gonna sound silly, but I originally just like was writing, I did this, I did that, so that I knew like the actions I wanted her to do. And now I'm going through and like changing it, because you shouldn't start every sentence with I. And they were more like literal things, like I walked and did this, I whatever. So I'm just writing it a little bit different, so it actually feels done. This whole area, this whole part. And the problem is I added in the rest of the chapter that I had already written, and I realized I kind of contradicted myself already because I changed a few things in the beginning of this chapter. So I have to merge them together, kind of change that. So I've changed a couple things. I think this makes the most sense. I think it's more interesting the way that I've changed it. But anyways, in between, after I finished writing, and before I started this second little session, I went through some different books that I have that I feel like are comparable to what I'm writing. I basically just went through 3 different books, and I went through their first pages of their first chapter and wrote out all the things that I learned about the main character and their world in a brief synopsis, so you can kind of see like how much you actually know about the character and the world. Because I felt like, I think for a minute, that I was writing too much about like her world and family and just like life and stuff. I'm like, we don't need to know about that so soon. But then I read through, these are some very popular fantasy books that have a similar vibe to what I'm trying to go with, and we did learn quite a bit. In 2 different ones, they immediately talked about their family and like where they were in the world. Now I don't feel as crazy for writing about that. One thing I did note is that in one of the books, you learned quite a bit about their personality by listening to their thought patterns and like what they were observing. So I wrote like they were calculating, observant, they like to be in control. Like you could find out all of that within the first few pages of their personality. Now I think I'm noting some places where I can kind of show her personality, because one of her personality traits, I guess, kind of, is that she doesn't really like to share everything. So I feel like I've kind of established that already. Like her thought pattern versus like what she's saying to people, there's a lot of like, there's a big difference in between what she's thinking and like feeling and what she's expressing to others. Yeah, I've been putting a lot of pressure on these first couple of pages, which I know they're so important. So I'm glad that I'm really going through this and like getting this where I wanted, because it feels like I don't even want to share any of the story because I haven't liked my beginning for a while. I've only shared like one of my other characters, her beginning. Love it. And so I've already shared that and like edited it multiple times because hers was just a lot easier to share. Anyways, I'm rambling. We're still on chapter 1. I feel like I'm like halfway through chapter 1 and I'm trying to figure out if this is really what, like where I want chapter 1 to end. I'm not sure. I think when I went and like looked at a formatted version, the way that I had it previously, my chapter 1, it says, is 9 pages. But I might actually end the first chapter like a tiny bit before this now. I might enter like what I already wrote, because I don't really want like a 12-page first chapter. So I might make it a bit shorter. We'll see. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe, do you guys have any thoughts? Like how long should your first chapter be? I feel like I see, like it really depends, but I feel like 10 pages is like kind of the most I've seen. But I don't know, I haven't gone back through this stuff now, so I might be able to like cut some of this. I think I'm gonna have my friend who's the editor read this first chapter soon. I really want feedback on this. I just want feedback on everything is how I feel. So like when I'm writing it, I just want to like talk it out with somebody. I really need to get like a critique partner, like somebody else who is also an author, to like ask questions, because I bounce ideas off my husband a lot, but he's not really a huge reader. He's read a couple things more recently, but he has a very short attention span. So I feel like sometimes when I bounce ideas off of him, it's like a good thing because he gets bored easily. So that's like, he'll tell me if my idea is boring. He has yet to like really read a lot of this book. So anyways, it's almost noon. I'm going to try to finish this whole chapter today. That's the goal. Right now I'm just kind of like rereading through what I wrote and trying to make sure it all is cohesive and makes sense, because I feel like I start a lot of things and then I get distracted and then all of a sudden it's like, that doesn't make any sense what you just wrote. So alright, we're gonna get back to writing. This straw is kind of huge. I don't really know what to do with it. I just ordered them for my, like, little online business. And they're kind of, like, way too big. Maybe there's, like, ones that are, like, kind of slanted. Maybe those are less crazy big. But anyways, I needed a coffee refresh.
This time of the year, I can't stop asking why I'm struggling to stay. It's a mystery why I'm here. I guess I'm just too tired of fighting what you say. As we're growing older, darling, understand it all. It's me that I'm fighting. Now that I see what is hiding underneath my skin, and I'm always sorry to bring you in my fall. Yeah, with my fall.
Update. I just wanted to share. I think I wrote for like 30 to 40 minutes or something like that. It's almost 1 o'clock now. It's like 12:45. I'm so happy with how chapter 1 is turning out. I changed the timing of a couple things that were already happening just to make things a little bit more exciting and like the readers finding things out with the main character. I'm so happy. This is exactly how I wanted this to go. It's like, before I think I was like, this is a little boring, but now I feel like we're getting there. I still have a lot of work to do on chapter 1, which I'm going to keep working on, but I also just came up with something to do with the world building, and I need to like jot that down before I forget. I really do my best work listening to music. That is like how my brain computes. I've made so many playlists. It really helps me, and there's a specific song that has just been helping me so much that I made a whole playlist to do with the main character's like powers. I don't have magical powers, so it's really hard to wrap your head around like how it would feel to wield powers, to like, you know what I mean, the whole deal. So I have like a whole playlist of music that I feel like gives off the different feelings and like emotions she has while she wields her powers, or how she feels about them. And there's one song in particular, and it's just like her letting her powers loose, but it really helps to kind of write what that feels like, because it's not something I can really relate to. I feel like the more I write about like the magical like fantasy world, I feel like fantasy is really fun to write about because it's like you're adding a lot of physical elements to the things that we already feel, I feel like, in our everyday life, like an emotion like wanting to protect somebody or fight for someone you love. It becomes very physical in fantasy books, versus we feel most of that internally, and then, you know, it's more like subtle actions. There's very few opportunities, I feel like, in your day-to-day life as like an average person to protect those you love. And I feel like also when it comes to magical powers, it's like they're taking out anger sometimes, like sadness, like they release powers in response to those emotions. And I feel like we all kind of feel that way sometimes, but we don't have a physical way to release it because violence isn't good. So, but in fantasy, it is. Or it's, you know, like a common currency. So it's very interesting to be able to write a physical response, not even like a fighting response. I haven't done any like fight scenes yet. Yeah, so it's very interesting. But my camera's gonna die, so I'm gonna get back to work. I'm gonna charge my camera, and I will update you again. I think I'm gonna work on this much longer today than I anticipated because I really have a vision for this chapter 1 now, and I think I just want to complete it. It'll make me feel really happy, and then I think I might send off chapter 1 to my friend who's the editor and get her first thoughts and kind of like send off my like beta reader questions with her so I can just get some of her thoughts. I'm so excited. I have not sent off a chapter in a while, like a chapter that I feel like is like done, you know, and I want to get like thoughts on it. I'm so excited. Okay, I just had to share how happy and emotional I am because I was so frustrated with this first chapter and now I'm loving it. I feel like we're getting her personality, we're getting the world, we're getting a lot of like setup of where we are, and we're also having like an event happen in it, and it's definitely it's like a mini catalyst, you know? So that's so cool. I'm happy. All right, I'm gonna go. Update again. I don't know what kind of video this is. I think I thought I was doing like a morning routine, but maybe I'm just gonna do a whole day in my life of writing because I'm trying to get so much done because I find I'm only working on my book like certain days, or I'm only working on it for a tiny bit of time, which is good to like make time for it for sure, like sporadically throughout the week. But when I have a day that's free like this, where I just have a whole day, I feel like I need to use it and work on it because my book is never going to be finished if I don't start devoting large chunks of time to it, because I've been working on my book for, let's see, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. This is October now, so we're on the 8th month of like solidly working on this book. Ugh. That sounds like really disappointing to me now that I hear that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did not realize it had been that long. But I want to do another check-in because my last update, I was in such a good mood and I knew where everything was going, and I just had like a little breakthrough, and I was really happy. So now I'm feeling, I guess, very ADHD. I was on a roll, I had a lot of good ideas, and then I started like wanting to write about other things besides chapter 1. I had a bunch of other ideas, so I wrote a bunch of notes about it. Then I started like whipping out my Pinterest board and like trying to get inspired for like a new scene, which is like fun. And I don't know, this is where I never know what to do with my ADHD tendencies, because sometimes I feel like it's very beneficial to roll with it and like just go wherever your brain is taking you. Yeah, sometimes you're really in your element then. Your creativity starts flowing and you get a lot created. You have a lot of things made. They're just usually all over the place. Like you'll get a little bit done on all your projects. And part of my brain loves that. And I like the variety, which is why I feel like I've always like been more drawn to like being an entrepreneur rather than like an office job, because I do not thrive doing the same thing over and over. Where some people like absolutely love that. I need like a lot of variety, or otherwise my productivity goes down the drain. But my other half of my brain gets frustrated and stressed and overwhelmed and says like, oh my gosh, there's so much. Like you're trying to write a scene for chapter 8 now or later, and you haven't even finished chapter 1 all the way. So then I have like nothing complete, and then I get so overwhelmed and feel like my project's never going to be done. So then it starts feeling like my book is never going to be done, and then I get really stressed and like anxious and like tell myself like, oh my god, you've been working on this forever, and like you're just going to push off the date and you're never going to finish this project, which isn't true. It's not true. So I guess I'm trying to find a balance between allowing my creativity to flourish and also being on like a strict routine to kind of finish things. So, but also your mind can only be creative for so long, and then it kind of starts to burn out. So I took a break and I got some food and whatnot, and I had the idea, something that really helps me often is to separate something, like separate the chapter I'm working on or like the scene into a separate document and just like only have that visible. So I did do that, and I have it on my phone. This is just chapter 1, and I have the ability to edit on my phone, so I feel like I might do this is like close my laptop maybe and literally just edit on my phone and like read it through, because I feel like I'm getting way too distracted. I have like 700 tabs open on my laptop, and I have all the chapters linked in my Google Doc. So plus I need to turn this into like a PDF, and I can do that on my phone really easily, so that I can send it to my friend. Yeah, I just got really distracted, and I feel like really kind of discouraged, and I wanted to document that because Sometimes it just all seems so positive. Like, I like documenting the positive stuff too, because on days when I'm like feeling like this right now, I've watched my videos before and been like, oh man, I was so excited to write, and then I get back into it. Right now I'm feeling just like overwhelmed, I guess, and I kind of feel like it's never going to be done. So we can't finish it all in one day, which really frustrates me. There's just no way, because it will be the crappiest book ever. So I'm going to sit here and try to focus on chapter 1. I should probably set a timer and I'm gonna read through it and like try to, I guess like I'll say, let's try to finish it like so it's like it all makes sense. But it doesn't have to be like everything I'm ever going to write in this chapter. So we'll do that. So let's give ourselves, it's almost 3 o'clock now. I don't know how this day is going by so fast. It's 2:53. So let's try to write for we're not really writing. We're gonna read through and edit this for about 20 minutes. It'll probably end up being longer because that's usually what happens once I get into it and I'm reading. Okay, I will get editing and I will hopefully I feel a lot better when I finish this little part. And then hopefully my goal is to try to do like 1 chapter a day, like work on that, but it's really not going to be a day. I have a feeling it's probably going to take 2 to 3 days per chapter, but my brain is saying like, okay, we're going to focus on chapter 1 until we're done with chapter 1, and then we're going to focus on chapter 2, blah, blah, blah. Like, get this beginning of this book written like draft 2, you know? I don't know why I'm so frustrated. I just want my book to be done, but it's not. And I'm being impatient. I'm being impatient, so we're gonna get started over here. I'm gonna hit the editing mode on my Google Docs, and it is 2:55, and I will meet you back at 3:05, 3:10, what is that, 3:15? I'm gonna meet you back at 3:15. I don't know why that took so long for me to figure out. Anyways, okay, I'll meet you back in a bit. Hello, next update. It is almost 4 o'clock. It's like 3:50 right now. I edited for half an hour. I took a little break, like get water, and then I got a little distracted on TikTok. That was successful. I feel less overwhelmed, but I still need to continue. I went through and edited a bunch. I haven't really figured out how I'm ending this scene, so I need to do that part, and then there's some dialogue that I don't know if it makes sense. So I was more doing like editing some of the stuff that I wrote today. Yesterday or the day before, I wrote a little bit more for it, so I was kind of editing the more recent stuff and rereading through that. I made a lot of changes, so that's good. Like, I made it more concise. That's the best way to say it. I had sentences that were kind of describing the same thing, or I was describing way too much, so I kind of cut some of that out. I think I probably only need like another half an hour to finish this up, but I'm feeling kind of gross now. I'm still in like crummy clothes, and I just feel kind of like, I don't know, I feel kind of gross, and it's like 4 o'clock. I feel like I need to like get up from the desk, because really, honestly, I have been working on this chapter and like the book in general since 9:10 when I first started this video. It was like 9:10 when I started writing this morning, and it is about to be 4 o'clock. But I really haven't done much else today, and that's just freaking crazy. I can't believe how long everything takes. It makes me annoyed. I really need to film more when I do this, because it's really helping being able to like talk out how I'm feeling and like have a couple minute break in between writing where I kind of like talk about what's going on with it. So I didn't realize how helpful this is, like talking it out. I want to finish this really badly. I want to be able to say I'm done with chapter 1 today. It'll just make me feel so accomplished. I feel like to send something to her. But I want to get out of these clothes and take a shower, so we're gonna do that real quick and come back to this.
Would you stay till the morning light? Or would you follow me? Or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Before you turn away, I just want you to know that I didn't throw your stuff away. Before you make up your mind that I'm nowhere to find, I'm standing right here. I know that I told you we're over. I swear that I'm sober. Just listen, I miss you. And I know that I said all these things, but now when you're with her, I can see that you miss me. Would you stay till the morning light? Or would you follow me? Or would you let it be? If I leave tonight, we could do this right. We'll find the remedy. Or would you stay with me now till the morning light? Till the morning.
It is much later, and I am ready to get back to work on finishing chapter 1. Took a break and edited a YouTube video. So this video is what I just edited, and it's my beautiful book, or my beautiful all about me putting up this wall collage, and that's all done. So now I feel very productive, and I'm ready to switch back and edit the rest of this chapter. So we're gonna get to that. I think I only have maybe 3 paragraphs left. So that's very exciting. And then I can cross off chapter 1. I've been using this new weekly planner to kind of make sure that I'm doing everything I want to, because I feel like my days kind of pass me by and I'm not meeting my deadlines right now that I'm wanting. So not that I really have a real deadline for this book, but I want to finish it as soon as possible. And if I don't make time for it and plot it out here, I'm not doing it. I was using a website to count my word count, but I'm not doing that anymore. I'm editing. So I realized I had no clue how to know when I'm done editing. I don't know if I like the editing process. I like it because the book's getting better. I don't know, there's not really an end in sight. There's not a definite ending where I feel like when you hit a certain word count, you can be like, oh yeah, we're done for the day. But with editing, unless they make these kind of goals. So I've been working on chapter 1. I think this is my maybe 2nd or 3rd day editing chapter 1. So, and then I really just want to work on it as long as I need to tonight to finish chapter 1 and move on. Anyway, so I'm going to continue editing. I think I liked editing on my phone better than my computer because I just have my phone on Do Not Disturb and then I don't look at anything else. But on my computer, I kept switching tabs. So I think we're gonna continue with the phone. I'm gonna put it back in the case and edit. Trying to edit a YouTube video, and this is my dog. Hello, Holly. This is me trying to edit my YouTube video to get out to you guys. This is Holly, my dog. She is standing, one leg on the other, just standing here, and I'm having to reach around, around her big butt here, and attempt to edit in here, Now she's sitting. That's very sweet of you. Hello. Wow, you're licking that. I don't know what's going on with her. I feel like she's really needy today. She seems really emotional, we just need to cuddle. I guess I could cuddle on the couch with you and edit this. Hello. You're so sweet. I love you. But I just thought this was crazy. I've never had to edit quite like this. So, if my next video, I just posted a video on Wednesday, which is today, I'm trying to get back into my 3-day-a-week schedule, or 2-day-a-week schedule. I feel like I didn't always hit the 3 days. Hello. But my video is being edited so I can post it on Saturday. That's my next day, usually. Yeah, and here we are. So if it's late, It's because of her. You're so sweet. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought I would share all you dog lovers out there. I don't know. Does your dog ever do this? Just have days where they're like, but like they're so in your space that like you can't do other things? Because that's how today is going. Maybe we'll go edit on the couch so you can cuddle. Do you want to sit on the couch? So an update on my chapter 1 edits. I forgot to update you on it. I tried to finish. I said I was going to stay up this late as I needed to finish writing my chapter 1. Well, I realized I felt very burnt out, like creatively. I could not figure out how to change what I was writing, and it just wasn't working. So I put it down for a day or two, now maybe 2 days later, and I actually have a little space that I'm writing. So I'm going to finish it now. My friend wants to edit it. Today is Friday, and she wants to edit it on Tuesday. So I'm gonna try to finish it today and then like give it to her. Or maybe she said she could get it done by Tuesday. I forget what she said. Now I think about it. But I'm going to finish this hopefully today. That's like the plan. Yeah, let's get this done.
This time of the year, I can't stop asking why I'm struggling.